Have you had the moment yet? Over the past few months, in conversations with executives, consultants, and operators, I keep hearing people describe a similar experience. A moment, not a slow realization. An instant where something clicks and you suddenly see where things are heading. Everyone's version is different, but the theme is the same. Oh, this is going to change everything. If you grew up in the 90s, you may remember moments like this. The first time you discovered Napster. Suddenly, any song in the world could appear on your computer in minutes. At the time, it felt like a novelty. Looking back, it fundamentally rewired our relationship with music. Or the first time you held an iPhone. No keyboard, just a piece of glass that responded instantly to your fingers. In that moment, you could feel it. This was not just a new phone. This was a new interface with technology. History is full of moments like this. Often we only recognize them in hindsight. But if you are paying close attention to AI right now, those moments are starting to happen more frequently, and they are getting more profound. My suspicion is that 18 months from now, we will look back at early 2026 and realize this was the turning point. Because the next phase of AI isn't better prompting, it's the disappearance of prompting altogether. The AI won't wait for instructions. It will watch your emails, your Slack messages, your documents, your meetings, and your workflows. It will absorb how you work, and then it will begin acting on your behalf. We are entering the era of the AI coworker, not a chatbot, not a writing assistant, a digital agent that can understand context, make decisions, and execute work across the systems your job depends on. This will not arrive with a dramatic announcement. It will simply start showing up inside the tools you already use. If that sounds like science fiction, consider 3 signals from just this week. They all point to the same thing. The digital coworker is arriving. But before we jump into the signals, let me take a minute to introduce myself if you are new here. My name is Chris Schmelzer, and I serve leaders who recognize the need and understand that the old models of leading and working are no longer keeping up with the pace of change. Every week, I track the subtle signals that a massive reset is coming for what we refer to as white-collar work, and share thoughts on how to lead yourself and your organization through the age of accelerating change. Here are 3 stories from this week that point to this massive shift. The first story, AI coworker, becomes the default in the knowledge worker stack. For most of the past 2 years, interacting with AI has meant opening a chatbot and typing a prompt. That interaction model is starting to disappear. Across the core software tools used by knowledge workers, email, documents, messaging platforms, and project management systems, AI is increasingly moving from assistant to embedded coworker. Instead of waiting for instructions, the systems are beginning to observe activity, interpret context, and initiate work automatically. Several major platforms have begun shifting in this direction. Microsoft's Copilot ecosystem is increasingly embedded across Outlook, Teams, Excel, and PowerPoint, where it can summarize conversations, draft responses, generate reports, and recommend actions across documents and communications. Google's Gemini integrations are moving in a similar direction across Gmail, Docs, and Workspace. The pattern is subtle but important. The AI is no longer a separate tool you visit. It is becoming a persistent layer that sits inside the systems where work already happens. Once this layer exists, the next step becomes obvious. The system doesn't just assist you, it begins acting alongside you. That is the architectural foundation of the AI coworker. This means AI is no longer something you go use. It is becoming something that works alongside you, whether you initiate it or not. The implication is simple. The question will no longer be, should I use AI for this task? The question will become, what parts of my work should the AI handle automatically? The signal, the productivity software stack, is being redesigned so AI can operate inside everyday workflows, not outside them. Story number 2, Zoom expands agentic AI platform that executes work from meetings. For years, meetings have been where information is exchanged and decisions are made, but not where work actually happens. Someone takes notes. Someone writes follow-ups. someone manually updates project systems. Zoom is now trying to collapse that gap. This week, the company announced an expansion of its agentic AI platform designed to trigger automated workflows directly from meetings, calls, and contact center conversations. In practice, this means the system can interpret a conversation and automatically trigger tasks across other tools. Actions like creating tickets, updating CRM systems, generating summaries, assigning follow-ups, or launching additional processes across connected software platforms. Instead of meetings producing notes that humans must later interpret and execute, the system can translate conversations directly into action. This shift may sound incremental, but it signals a major change in how work flows through organizations. In other words, the AI is not just listening, it is beginning to participate in the operational layer of work. For anyone who spends a large portion of their week in meetings, this changes the role of those meetings. Conversations are no longer just places where work is discussed. They are becoming inputs that trigger work automatically across your organization's systems, which means the meeting isn't just where decisions are made anymore. It may soon be the access point where the AI coworker starts executing the work. The signal: AI agents are starting to interpret human conversations and trigger real workflows across enterprise systems. Story number 3. OpenAI acquires PromptFu to strengthen security for enterprise AI agents. As AI systems move from answering questions to taking actions, a new challenge emerges: security. When AI agents are capable of executing tasks, accessing data, triggering workflows, writing code, or interacting with enterprise systems, organizations must ensure those agents behave safely and predictably. This week, OpenAI announced the acquisition of PromptFu, a platform focused on testing and evaluating AI system behavior. PromptFu specializes in tools that simulate attacks, test prompts, and evaluate how AI systems respond under different conditions, essentially stress testing how models behave before they are deployed into production environments. This may sound like a technical acquisition, but strategically, it signals something deeper. The industry is beginning to build the safety infrastructure required for AI agents to operate inside companies. Before autonomous systems can operate widely inside enterprise workflows, companies need tools to test reliability, detect vulnerabilities, and validate how those systems behave. Security layers like this are exactly what emerged during earlier technological revolutions, from internet infrastructure to cloud computing. First, the technology appears. Then the ecosystem builds the controls needed to deploy it at scale. Most companies will not allow AI agents to take action inside their systems until they trust those systems are secure. Tools like this are what make that trust possible. In other words, this isn't just a security story. It's part of the infrastructure that will allow AI coworkers to operate inside real organizations. The signal: the industry is building the security and testing infrastructure required for AI agents to operate inside real enterprise environments. The signals this week all point in the same direction. The tools we use in our daily workflows are rapidly embedding intelligence. The meeting platforms we rely on are beginning to assign work directly into operational systems. The companies building these technologies already recognize security will become a critical issue for enterprise adoption. Individually, each of these signals might look incremental. Together, they suggest something much larger. The infrastructure for the AI coworker is forming, which brings us back to the question from the beginning. Have you had the moment yet? That instant where the implications suddenly become clear. For many people, the instinctive reaction is simple. We need to move faster. Our organization needs to accelerate adoption. That reaction seems logical, but it might actually be the wrong frame. Last week, I wrote about the difference between economies of scale and economies of scope. Economies of scale are about doing the same thing faster and more efficiently. But economies of scope are about using the same capability across many different problems. AI is pushing us towards scope. Industrial era thinking tells us to focus on scale, train people on prompting, launch AI pilots, measure adoption metrics. But the pace of change we are entering may move too quickly for those approaches to keep up. Instead, this moment challenges us to rethink leverage. Leverage asks a different question. Where can a small action create outsized impact? Consider something as simple as recording meetings. Many people who have experienced the moment now re-record nearly every meeting they attend. The reason is straightforward. The leverage created by AI note takers, automated summaries, searchable transcripts, and emerging AI insights far outweighs the perceived risks of recording. But individuals who haven't yet had that moment often hesitate. Their mental models about privacy, transparency, and risk were built for a different technological era. The same pattern appears with allowing AI tools access to email, shared drives, or Slack channels. People who have experienced the moment see the potential for enormous leverage. These systems can synthesize context, accelerate communication, and dramatically increase the speed at which work moves. Those who haven't experienced it often default to protecting information, limiting access, and holding data close. Neither reaction is irrational, but they come from different mental models of how work operates. And right now, one of the biggest differentiators between individuals, teams, and organizations may simply be this: who has experienced the moment and who hasn't. Those who have felt that shift are far more willing to experiment, to expose their workflows to these tools, and to accept the risks that come with new capabilities, because they intuitively recognize something important. The risk of not using these systems may now be greater than the risk of using them. None of this means the risks are trivial. Granting AI systems access to meetings, internal communications, and company knowledge raises legitimate concerns around privacy, security, and vendor lock-in. The safeguards for enterprise AI are still being built in real time, but this is exactly why signals like the OpenAI acquisition of PromptFu matter. The ecosystem is beginning to build the controls required for AI coworkers to operate safely inside organizations, which creates a challenge for leaders. If you are responsible for guiding a team, a function, or an organization through this transition, you cannot assume everyone around you has had that realization yet. Some have, many have not. The distance between those who have experienced the moment and those who have not is beginning to widen. And in the age of AI, that distance may grow faster than many organizations and individuals are prepared for. The divide forming right now is easy to miss. It's not between companies that have adopted AI and companies that haven't. It's between the people who have already experienced the moment and the people who are still operating as if the old rules of work still apply. Which raises a simple question: have you had the moment yet? If this resonates, join us as we explore what it means to lead, live, and work in an era of accelerating change.